Title: Fiat Wonderland, How the Illusion is Maintained and How to Escape. Section 1. The game you were born into. You were born into a system that doesn't just take your money. It takes your time, your energy, and eventually your agency. They call it capitalism, but that's branding. The reality is forced intermediation, a rigged maze designed so you can never simply opt out, never just save and rest. You must play. You must risk. You must move. Not playing the game isn't allowed. Standing still is financial suicide. They've built an economy where you can't survive on wages alone. The money you earn is quietly, relentlessly devalued. Your savings melt while you sleep. Inflation isn't a bug, it's a feature. Dilution is a design choice, and why wouldn't it be? Those at the top of the chain create the money supply or get it first. They don't work for money, they issue it. And you're last in line praying for yield. Section 2. You don't save, you gamble. In this system, saving is punished. Holding fiat is like holding a melting ice cube, guaranteed loss. So you're pushed, subtly but forcefully, into risk. You must invest, not because you want to, but because it's the only way to not fall behind. And even then, you pick the wrong stock, you're dead. You sit in cash too long, you're dead. You trust the wrong institution, the wrong narrative, the wrong timing, dead, dead, dead. There's no safe lane, just a crowded freeway of people trying to outrun monetary decay. You aren't growing your wealth, you're just fighting the tide not to drown. Section 3. Everything you own is someone else's promise. Let's be honest about most assets. Cash in a bank, that's a bank liability. Bonds, a debt instrument, a promise that can be defaulted on. Stocks, a claim on future earnings, contingent on corporate behavior, politics, and management. Real estate, dependent on taxes, zoning laws, and the enforcement of titles by centralized authorities. In the fiat economy, everything is a contract, not a certainty. Everything relies on someone else doing what they said they'd do, and that's assuming the rules don't change. Bitcoin and gold aren't like that. They are pure bearer assets. No yield, no middleman, no counterparty risk. What you hold is what you own. That's why they're dangerous, not because they're volatile, but because they remove dependence. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Section 4. The Architects of Illusion. Here's the real kicker. Just when you try to leave the game, they move the goalposts. You reach for gold, they give you a gold ETF, a financial product settled in cash, so you never actually touch the metal. You reach for Bitcoin, they hand you a Bitcoin ETF, paper exposure in a custodial wrapper, permissioned and surveilled. It looks like freedom. It feels like sovereignty, but it's still inside the cage. They've built a system where even the exits are monetized. You never get to touch the asset. You're allowed to observe it through glass while they hold it for you, on your behalf, at their discretion. That's not ownership. That's a subscription. Section 5. Wonderland as a business model. You asked why the game is this way. Because it's profitable. They build the game. They create the rules. They pit you against each other, left versus right, saver versus spender, bull versus bear. And they charge an access fee to the stadium. The real money isn't in winning the game. The real money is in owning the game and making you pay to play. Fiat Wonderland is a live-action simulation where the players fund the system that exploits them. And they're not just after your wealth. They're after your attention, your trust, and increasingly, your freedom. Because once they can sell your freedom back to you, piece by piece, the game becomes total. Section 6. The White Rabbit isn't who you think. This is where Bitcoin enters the frame, not as an investment, not as tech, but as exit technology. Bitcoin is the white rabbit. But this time, it's not leading you deeper into Wonderland. It's leading you out into cold, hard reality. No yield, no fluff, no promises, just 21 million units of pure programmatic scarcity. Self-custodied, uninflatable, uncensorable. It doesn't try to compete. It refuses to play. Section 7, exit is the only victory. There's a hard truth here. You don't win the fiat game by playing it better. You win by understanding that the game itself is the problem, that every rule, every tweak, every upgrade is designed not to empower you, but to preserve their seat at the top of the pyramid. Gold and Bitcoin win not because they're magic, but because they are outside the pyramid altogether. They are not optimized for yield, productivity, or innovation. They are optimized for freedom. The absence of function is the function. That's why they work. Section 8. Final transmission. The choice is yours, stay in Wonderland, and you'll keep running, keep hoping, keep waiting for a fairer game that never comes. Or you exit. You unplug. You take custody. You stop asking for permission. You start building a future that isn't built on illusion. Bitcoin is not the end of the game. It's the end of their game and the beginning of yours.